Welcome at Pizza and More. This time we make something which has nothing to do with pizza, but of course with Italy. And I'm pretty sure every one of you knows it, or almost every one of you knows it, and you also like it. Yeah, I'm Jürgen and we make this time together an absolutely delicious ciabatta. And of course, the dough is very similar to a pizza dough. We need for our dough flour, yeast, salt, water, exactly like a pizza dough as well. Then we need olive oil. Also in some pizza doughs we need olive oil. We need a bit of honey, and if you have, we add a bit Lievito Madre, so the Italian sourdough. We will make a direct dough with a leavening time of 24 hours. And every one of you who has no pizza oven at home might be happy right now, because for our ciabatta we don't need a pizza oven, because we bake the ciabatta in the conventional kitchen oven. And now I would say we start directly with our dough. These are now the ingredients we need for our ciabatta. This is 300 grams of type 0 flour. You also could use a normal all-purpose flour, of course, or a type 00, or a normal bread flour will also work. I have 200 grams of very cold water. Then I have 5 grams of honey, 8 grams of fine sea salt. By the way, you can use which salt ever you want. Then I have here 15 grams of olive oil, 1 gram of dry yeast. If you want to use fresh yeast, please use 3 grams. And here, as I said, around about 20 grams of Lievito Madre. If you don't have Lievito Madre, as said, simply leave it away. And if you want to breed your own Lievito Madre, because you say from now on I want to bake each week a bread, then I have a nice video and I will link it in the video description. To make our dough, we pour at first the water into our bowl, and then if you have directly the Lievito Madre, and then we mix quickly the Lievito Madre with the water. It's not required to melt it totally, it's only that everything is a bit mixed. Then we add the flour, the yeast, also the olive oil, the honey, and then we start the mixer for around 5 minutes. Then after the first 5 minutes we add the salt, and then we continue kneading until we are able to make the window test. This might be in around 15 minutes. I have to say, after I added the salt, I increased the speed of the machine. And now, after 15 minutes, I think the dough is ready, and I will show you the windowpane test. Therefore, I took already a piece of dough out, and then I try to stretch the dough. And you already can see if it's possible to stretch the dough very thin, then the gluten structure is built and we can take the dough out of the machine. If we then have the dough here on the counter, it's time to shape a nice ball. Therefore, at first I show you what you have to do if you have not kneaded until you were able to make the windowpane test. If you are able to make the windowpane test, you have not to do this exercise, but if not, then let your dough rest for around 30 minutes, and then after the 30 minutes you do a special way of stretch and fold. Then you take your dough, you stretch it here, and then you fold it over. And this is what you do around the circle, because this helps you then as well to strengthen the gluten structure. But as I said, this is only required to do if you are not able to make the windowpane test. In any other case, we shape now a nice ball. Therefore, we make also stretch and fold. We take the dough from the left and from the right, lift it, put it back, stretch it, and fold it over. Let's do this several times. And then you already can see that the structure of the dough is nice and gets strengthened. Then we turn the dough several times. We can pull the dough. We go with the fingers under so that the dough is not rolling. Then we take a container and we put the pizza ball or the dough ball into the container. And of course, we close the lid. We let the dough now rest at room temperature for around 1 to 2 hours, and then we put the dough into the fridge for around 24 hours. I know there are many different recipes for ciabatta. Also, I have several different recipes for ciabatta, but this one is the most easy one, and therefore I decided to show you this one right now. Maybe at another point I will show you the other recipes as well. Now, 24 hours later, the dough was 24 hours in the fridge, and now I took it out, and now we shape our ciabatta. Here we have now the dough of our ciabatta. Now it's important to put enough flour onto top of our dough and also some flour onto our working desk. And then we can release the dough with a spatula. We have to be a bit careful because we want to keep the air, which is actually inside of the dough, in our dough. And then we can lift the dough out and put it onto the flour. And then we shape our ciabatta. Therefore, that this side here and this side is already folded in, doesn't matter, because we will shape the bread very easily, which means we only roll the dough up, and we are here now very gentle, because as I said, we want to keep all the air in our bread. Then we take such a cloth. You can see I have only one piece of dough here already. But also we still have here some space for our ciabatta right now. We take some flour and sprinkle also enough flour onto our cloth. Then we take our bread and put it with the closing upwards onto this cloth. If this does not stick together, then you can press it a bit and then it keeps together. Then we have to fold the cloth over, also from the other side, and then we cover it, and then we let it rest for 1 hour. In the meanwhile, we can preheat the oven to 230 degrees Celsius, both sided heat, so upper and lower heat. If you have, you can place a pizza stone or a baking steel inside of your oven at the lower third part of the oven. And of course, we have later on, when we put the ciabatta into the oven, we have to produce steam. For making steam, you have some possibilities. Either you have an oven which is already able to produce steam, like mine. Otherwise, you can put a baking tray onto the bottom of the oven, preheat this baking tray as well, and pour then some water into this baking tray. Or what I did previously before I had this oven, I took a old, how is it called? A pan for making a cake. I put some lava stones into it. I preheated also these stones, and then I poured some water into this form, into this pan, and this also produced then lots of steam. 1 hour later, I already put the water into my oven so that steam can be produced, and now we can bake our ciabatta. I have here some already prepared baking paper, because this is easier then to handle our ciabatta. Then we turn it again around so that the closing is now at the bottom, and we leave all these flour and so on our ciabatta. As you can see, I have here the 2 breads, one for the German video, the other one for the English one right now. The easiest now is to take a pizza peel or bread peel or whatever you want, and then we push the peel under, and this is now with the baking paper pretty easy, and then we transfer the bread into the oven. Here in my oven I have an upside down baking tray, and on this I will place now the bread. The ciabatta should bake now with steam for around 20 minutes. After this 20 minutes we open the door of the oven so that all the steam could go out. We also remove the source of the steam, or we switch off the steam functionality. Then we reduce the temperature to 210 degrees Celsius, and then we bake the bread for additional 20 to 30 minutes until it's nice and golden. Now, after a total baking time of 40 minutes, I think my ciabatta is well baked, and I take it out of the oven. And here comes our ciabatta out of the oven. And now, of course, the ciabatta has to cool down, and then we cut it. I will have it right now, or even if it's cold, for breakfast, because I still had no breakfast, and I'm really looking forward for this nice ciabatta for my breakfast. Yeah, if you like my video, it would be fantastic if you would subscribe my channel, and then we see us all in the next video. Ciao.